keep an eye on them, but you know, a lot of times if they do stupid stuff, you can see it before it happens and we will adjust their behavior. Let's see. This guy actually might be pretty good training ground for these guys, for these clan leaders. And that way we can keep pushing south into Asurai territory here. This army of 1,000 Asurai is arriving almost instantly, like just a few days after our huge battle with the Asurai. And he's got a problem here, right? This Asurai force is going to siege right in front of the Bearheart here, Henry. And of course, we lament the loss of Rose. I think let's let Henry handle this guy here, right? We can kind of watch over him here a little bit, make sure he doesn't get into trouble or more come. Although now we've got something else to do. Let's let Mr. Bearheart handle this here. Of course, Henry, one of our Patreon supporters, that is part of this campaign. This is a custom character we added. He's leading a sizable army, and there are other smaller armies in the field. Maybe they will help Henry. We've got Adrian the Bull here. Wants peace. Well, of course, you guys know from a role-playing element, we are not going to have peace. What the hell is that? He's fighting some smaller army or something. I think this is a good spot to start an episode here. We're heading down to Lagetta to defend. There's Asurai forces here. Let's go ahead and just fire up an episode right here. Welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. It's been a little while. Welcome back to our Epic Vlandian campaign. Very humbly named Epic Vlandian campaign. And we are in the epic stage where these four kingdoms, War of the Four Powers, is really exploding across the screen in dramatic battles. And there's campaign strategy as well, right? We have now two armies that are out there in the field. In addition to King Hal, Henry the Bearheart is leading a clan. And it looks like George the Bandit King, you have been summoned to join Entho the Black's party. I love it, right? All these different players, all these different Patreon supporters, all these different people and units and characters in this campaign. People are getting killed. There's all this different dramatic shit happening in this campaign. And the best part, of course, is that many of you guys are involved. Many of the Patreon supporters, many of the fellows on YouTube, right? Whether it's Adrian the Bull or George the Bandit King, the House of Saxe, the legendary Marshal Saxe, right? You guys are all part of this, and I love that. Even though you've already died, Marshal Saxe, we also did some more reincarnation here, right? The third time, Marco, welcome back to the campaign. And, of course, Turin the Accursed. This guy eventually made his way up. This guy was a companion before with Hal, and he has made his way back to the party. We've got his wife with us now, and we're heading to a battle here at Lagetta, or hopefully a battle. Might be a small little auto-resolve. We'll see what the size of the force is. Every once in a while, I give you this overhead perspective in this campaign. As you can see, the Khazate are way up in the Highlands arena. The Sturgeons are being pushed back. They're begging for peace. We have burned our sister. That's what they did back then. Set her on fire. Of course, we all know the Baron has moved on in this campaign, much to people's chagrin. And Entho the Black and Henry the Bearheart here, we're hoping do some good work. We are being besieged right before I started this episode in Asurai force. Headed to Pencannock. We're still at war, of course, with the Asurai and the Sturgeons, and the Khazate are looming large in this campaign. We haven't really looked at the whole map in this whole campaign. I don't know if I'll ever do that for you fellas. I like the suspense. One thing we do know is the Khazate they're on the move, right? They're taking over territory. They have a fella named Genghis actually leading some armies out there. They have a sizable force, but King Hal is not perturbed by anything at this stage, right? King Hal is ready to fight Ancalagog the Black. He's ready to fight Karkaroth, the Maw of Death, right? All these legendary figures from the Silmarillion. Half you guys are like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I think we're going to wait a day or two here and engage by ourselves here against this double army of Sturgeons. I don't actually see a lot of the Nords here, right? The Nords are present still in the campaign. And what I mean by that is the Nordic leaders. We still have all the same mods running. In fact, here, let's introduce you to this fella. I don't think we have seen this guy on the battlefield yet, and I wanted to put him in here. This is another one of our Patreon supporters. He wanted this fella in the map, hopefully in the game. Hopefully that is exactly or hopefully somewhat like he wanted. He's going to be a villain for us to deal with. We even have some people who have sent their characters in to be part of this campaign on the enemy side. I love it, right? We're going to kill your character. Maybe I'll execute your character, especially if you stop supporting me on Patreon, right? Off with your head. Come on, Bearheart, do your thing. It looks like he's engaging. That looks like engaging activity. Come on, come on. Beautiful. Do you know what that means, right? That means Henry the Bearheart just attacked the Aserai force that is there. It looks like Entho the Black is coming up here with a smaller army. Yeah, he doesn't have nearly the force. He's got George the Bandit King though, right? So George the Bandit King, Entho the Black, who was a rebel leader that we decided to add to this campaign. They are doing some defense work here. Meanwhile, King Hal is going to take care of the sturgeons here. And how beautiful is this, right? They're almost certainly going to be successful. Anytime the AI attacks like that on defense, they're likely to be successful. We should see a bunch of green in that corner down there. King Hal here is hemorrhaging troops because, of course, he likes to carry more than is necessary, but that's all right, right? We're going to suffer some deserters, and bang, right? I see some deaths for the enemy as well, so we taught him a good lesson there. Now, he sacked the Terribles here, right? There's this gal here. I very vaguely remember her. A creature of pure beauty and terror. It is rumored that Frederica killed her midwife and 2 attendants at the birth of her first child, half Aserai, half Nord. She's all rage. Now, what's interesting about this is a lot of these Nord characters I made so long ago, literally 4, 5, 6 months ago, that I don't remember them all, right? So we're almost encountering them for the first time, even though I literally typed all that shit in there. It's going to continue to make this campaign salty. Enemy lords have 500... I guess 500% normal hit points, right? 5x normal hit points. So they're running around on the campaign maps, causing carnage, leading armies with pure rage. Isak the Terrible, that is actually the mod maker of this great Sturgeon Tier 6 / Norse infantry, the elite infantry line, right? That replaces the Dredziniks for this campaign. And collectively, you know, I'm at an orgasmic stage of this campaign. Also, Hal has reached his coming of age, right? At this stage, Hal is a bona fide monster on the battlefield as well, too, right? He welcomes challenges. The son of the Baron, the second son of the Baron, of course, the first son, Rylan, was killed, right? As was his first daughter, Rose. We have the Death for All cranked to the roof for this campaign. So almost every battle, there's likely to be death, right? You Patreon supporters, you guys rooting for King Hal, or whoever it might be, Isagund, or your own character, Garrison Keeler, Ramirez, right? You guys are all at risk every single battle. You got to hope that I don't just send you in with the Vanguard. Of course, that's what got Marco killed over and over again. This time we'll put him with the skirmishers. He's in that division led by Zeus, right? You're in good shape there, Marco, when you're fighting side by side Zeus. I love it. Maybe you guys will become friends like in the Discord and say, damn, that was a tough battle against the Aserai or whatever it is. Merwin, Odnar, we've got all these different characters. This is going to be fun. And I want to say this is about as strong as an army as you can make in Bannerlord. We could probably have more Fiend Champs, right? It always, it's like adding sugar to something. More sugar is always better. More Fiend Champs is always better. But we have a lot of sharpshooters, and next to Fiend Champs, sharpshooters are probably the next best, strongest thing, right? We've got a strong Cav division. We are trying the RTS command system mod here. That's why you get the little extra bracketed white things there. I've fought a few battles with this so far, and I'm just sort of experimenting with it. As we continue to experiment with the mini-map, you will see the mini-map in the upper left corner. For those wondering, we are not on the beta for this. I did not want to advance this campaign, this Epic Vlandian campaign, to the new 1.3 beta, as many of these mods would not work. So we are still at 1.21. But we've got a savage first division. We've got an outstanding third division with lots of shock troops. We even have some palace guards in there fighting the Nords here, the Sturgeons. We've got a savage crossbow division, right, with all crossbow in the 4th division. The 6th division is lethal, packed with tight high-end skirmishers. And then we have cons guards on top of everything else. So King Hal is not playing by any rules here, right? He's basically forming the most devastating army you can in Bannerlord. And let's see if it's true to its word here, right? We're outnumbered almost 2-1. And it's going to be an interesting battle, nevertheless, right? A huge force here of Sturgeons. Now, there aren't any of their absolutely top-end characters, with apologies to Isak the Terrible. He's got a very strong character, but Glaron Heavy Hand is not here. Ragnar escaped from prison recently. He's not here. Some of the very highest end Zuvan is not here. Some of the very highest end Nord characters are not here. So maybe this won't be the hardest battle we have fought. You never know though, right? We can always get reinforcements. That is always a threat. I missed that actually when I turned on the beta, right? When we jump to the 1.3 beta, of course, the reinforcement system fails to work. And if you're not familiar with it, if this is the first battle, I think that'll work, 6th, 7th, 8th. I'll talk about tactics here more in a second. In fact, shit, we got to get this cav line up here. Come up here in a shield wall, boys. Protect our horse archers. The reinforcement system, never mind, I'll talk about it more after the battle here. This is too much shit going on here. We got to kite with these horse archers. I've got the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th over here on the right side, and I've grown fond of doing this. I've got archers behind skirmishers with horse archers and a defensive line of powerful cavalry. That's going to make that right side ironclad. Now on the left over here, we have a cav division, shock troops, an infantry division, a defensive infantry division. And I feel a little clumsy here. I haven't, of course, played HAL in a while. You know, we've been playing with 1.3, right? I'm not used to the slow-mo that comes with the dismemberment mod, so it's going to take me a little bit of time here to get back my bearings with this version, but it shouldn't take too long. Now, we're going to be able to move skirmishers and archers here on this giant wave of enemy infantry, as usual, right? The Nords, the Sturgeons here have huge armies of infantry, and what's great about this is going to be in some way, a preview of how to fight the Nords in the upcoming DLC. Of course, this is the first episode I've made since they released both the gameplay and the release date for the DLC of November 26th. Like the rest of you, I'm peeing my pants with excitement. I'm an old guy, so it's easier for me to pee my pants. All I have to do is just not pay attention to it. The next thing you know, you're peeing your pants. If you guys didn't know that, by about 50, you just pee your pants regularly. It's a normal thing. I change my pants about 4 times a day. And I was just letting that sink in for a second or two. I'm absolutely kidding. I think that happens by 70, maybe. Just wanted to inflict a little terror on you fellas that are 37, 38. I can still hold my bladder, but this is a formidable challenge, nevertheless. It's a massive amount of infantry, but man, are we well positioned. We're uphill with skirmishers, horse archers, and an archer division. I'm going to join the infantry division too, right? I've been talking about it. HAL fights on foot. I love fighting on foot. It's not as optimal for command, but who gives a fuck, right? We're going to play this game like a man. We're going to get off with our troops here. He's got a very powerful skill set now. He's got a good set of javelins we can chuck here. I think his throwing's in the low 200s. He's got a good pole arm, and he's got a sword and shield in case we start getting beat up. He's got great armor, and he's got an army of skirmishers and archers just wailing away behind him here, and the enemy is completely pinched. And they are fucked, right? And this will be one of the keys, of course, to destroying the Nords, is getting all kinds of crossfire. I think guys especially that have been visiting our channel the last 3 to 6 months, watching this campaign especially, are going to obliterate the Nords, right? They're going to probably have to play the Nords, otherwise every campaign the Nords will get pummeled, right? These tactics are especially devastating to heavy infantry like this. The Nords' big weakness, obviously, is they don't have cavalry. Well, I think that's a huge weakness, and I don't think people really fully understand how big of a weakness that is. It's kiting city, right? Unless their archers are really, really good, we're just going to be able to kite the Nords into fucking the ground, basically. Just like that division, I mean, we just vanquished that huge, powerful batch of Varangians. I wasn't watching very closely. I guess I should try to get sort of back into the fold here. It takes a lot of focus to do this narration and also pay attention to details here. We're moving up our formations here. I want to hold the river while the enemy comes in sort of scatter shot. There is a bit of a reverse slope decline defense. We can hold that next line. But anytime the enemy comes in piecemeal like this, you want to attack. Don't let them concentrate, right? This is basically the AI allowing us to fight them in detail here. We like it, right? Let's get aggressive. They do have Varieg champions. They do have some other high-end units here. They have theoretically some advantages, but not when our infantry has a head of steam. We have lots of sergeants. We have lots of wildlings flinging arrows. And here's where your sharpshooter really starts to benefit you in a battle like this. Right? You can move them up. Everybody who can shoot will shoot. People who can't shoot, just standing there, will hold their shield up and block arrow shots, block skirmisher shots. And then you can charge with them, right? And sharpshooters adding to the infantry line is a potent mix. It's lethal. You can hear them just fire away, and it's just 1,000 bolts go flying. And set up a little defensive line here. Of course, you guys can feel free to watch your characters in the lower left. I try to keep that little box open that shows their skills going up and stuff like that. There's got to be about 25 or 30 combination of YouTube and Patreon supporters that have characters in this campaign. Most of them, of course, are either in our army or are clan members like George the Bandit King, and I'm digging it, right? King Hal now feels like a beast, and we're to that stage where you become a little bit of a just absolute monster, omnipotent kingdom. We have a very strong mixed army. We don't have any restrictions, so we're using everything from Fiend champions shooting behind there. I can see Fiend champions raking. We have sharpshooters in front. We have elite captains. I've got a nice division of sergeants here. Our army still has a distinctly Vlandian flavor, but I would say it also has a nice side dish of Botania and Kazate especially, even some Imperials. We don't obviously have very many Asserai units because we're a long ways from them. And very few Sturgeons, but all the other units we have a lot. Now the enemy has a good press here, and they still have some high-end troops here, but I note very few Varangians. And I note Hal is becoming an absolutely earth-destroying machine with this legendary glaive. This legendary glaive originally was Rylan, and I love that now his brother is using it vengefully against all these opponents in this campaign. Those of you that lament the fall and the loss of the Baron from the campaign, I'm working on something for you fellas. I can't give you all the details yet because it's not fully fleshed out, but let me put it to you this way. You have not seen the end of the Baron. I can give you this little detail. It has to do with the Forbury mod, right? We are working, I'll just tell you this part. We're working on a little bit of a preview series or a prequel to the Baron, right? Where did the Baron come from, right? And we're going to obviously focus on sort of the thug life, right? The Baron, the thug. How did he become the Baron? How did he become this savage, shrewd, murdering warlord? So I'll look for that in the next month or 2 or 3. We'll see how busy the DLC keeps us. Probably very busy, right? This is an extremely ambitious, exciting release here of this new DLC. And I, for one, am thrilled that they're taking their time. I know guys are like, you said fucking June, you said this and that. I don't give a fuck as long as they do right. I mean, of course, if it came out 10 years from now, I'd be sad. But if Tailworlds does a great job, I don't care if it takes an extra year, right? Make sure that it's gold. Get the fuck out of here. Make sure that it's gold before they just crank it out, right? We can wait. And I'm not sure that November 26th is the date. If I had to bet money, I would say no. I would say expect a week or 2 after that. But we'll see. Maybe it's a hard date for them. And they'll adjust and fix bugs afterwards. All right, what the fuck is going on over there? It's just all horse archers mixed in. Okay, that's fine. We're getting ready here to make another press. I like this sort of concentrated regroup and then recharge approach, right? This works especially well with all these sharpshooters. The enemy starts to build up a bunch of troops here, kind of like plaque on your teeth. You got to go to the dentist once in a while. And then every 3-4 minutes, or every 3-4 months, you go to the dentist, right? And you just clear off all this plaque that's attacking our shield walls here. What this allows us to do is kill at range and get our forces up and from the reinforcement lines to meet our troops as well, right? You want to make sure that you have good lines and advantageous numbers before you charge. Now we can start pouring through. I note some tier 3 and 4 units here in the Sturgeon army. These guys are fucking cooked because a lot of our high-end troops are still alive. We have been just fizzing the enemy on the death spam. Hal's got his fucking different weapons out, a head of steam, and it's time to start getting offensive here. Let's blow these Sturgeons off the map. And now you guys just cringe, right? Are we going to lose Isagun? Are we going to lose, other major players in this battle, right? The other battles, right? The allied forces out there, whether it's George the Bandit King Henry the Bearheart, right? You guys got to cross your fingers too, right? I'm not going to change the death for all. We're going to make these battles consequential, just like real medieval battles. You don't fight 200 battles in a row and nobody dies. In this campaign, it's about to get very, very real, very bloody. And it needs to, right? This campaign has been going a long time. It's not going to be 300 episodes. I don't think anybody would watch that, right? Now, it may continue. I've mentioned this before. It may continue in the... Oh, shit. We've got a whole bunch of troops here on our right flank. Let's kill these guys first. Oh, shit. I'm in line with Zeus. That is Zeus. That's another one of our supporters. Get in there. Anytime you're fighting by Zeus, I like your chances as we immolate these poor sturgeons. We got that cav line up there just forming a defensive square. That'll attract attention here. Now we can get some flanking angles. I wanted to mention that, though. Once the modders have the DLC figured out and you can do custom characters, you can do the RTS mod, you can use the battle size mod, the strength in the AI mod, you guys can count 100% on an epic Nordic campaign. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, this guy, King Hal, is just a beast. He can stand horses up, and before the guy can move, he can one-shot him. This is incredible weapon build. Now, I'm still preferable to a two-handed weapon with 3 stacks of javelins, but I gotta say, after testing the new beta, maybe you want a shield, right? They're so deadly at range now. And when I mean, of course, enemy skirmishers, archers, crossbow, that if you don't have a shield, if you run the old popular two-handed weapon, two-handed glaive, swingable glaive, and maybe a bow and 2 quivers, I think you're going to get killed in the beta. I think, in the next version of Bannerlord, so the DLC, I think there's going to be a lot of guys that are surprised how stunningly accurate ranged units are in the DLC. And I think a shield is now becoming, if not required, very close to required for the player to survive. Now, of course, we're playing huge battles. This is very different. Now, I'm setting up a formation flank roll here for the rest of the troops, but at the very back of their formations, I see recruits, so this fucking battle is over. I just looked up at the power bar. Every once in a while, I'll leave the power bar up for you guys. In fact, I just decided I'm going to leave it up for this battle, but we're also going to continue to remove it with after editing occasionally, just to keep the suspense high for this campaign, and just to finish that point that I interrupted myself again here as we route this force. Expect some of these characters to roll over into a DLC campaign. Whether that's fighting with the Nords or against, I will leave you guys to speculate. There may be a mix of both, right? We may have George the Bandit King fighting in the Norse campaign. We may have Marco. You might be fighting against the Norse, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun carrying this over. And I like adding to the lore that we've created with these 3 campaigns. The Aserai campaign, the Peasants' Revolt, and now, of course, this gnarly Vlandian campaign. Well, it doesn't get any worse ass-whipping than this in a late-game battle. A 4-to-1 kill ratio here against a very powerful force when we're outnumbered badly, and we just eviscerated this force. Now, we did suffer a loss, a noble, but it wasn't anybody we care about. It was one of the random NPCs. Don't give a shit. Isagun did work. Look at Stupid Henry. Stupid Henry still kills, right? Look at that shit. He's got 311 bow skill, 289 two-handed. So he's in there clobbering guys still. This is the guy that died. Vorthert of the Brotherhood. Don't give a shit. Other than the fact that those units will now go to the... I guess they'll go to Legetta, right? And that's usually how it works. We'll lose that army temporarily. All right. Savfk the Terrible, come with us, brother, even though you're out there making great mods for us. He's working on another mod that I'm very excited to introduce, but he's not finished yet. I can't give you more details about it yet because it's not finished. But once it is, I think you guys are going to be very interested in it. And of course, you guys know it'll be previewed here since he's specifically making it for our channel, right? We've got some exclusive shit now in Tactical Enlightenment. We're moving up in the world. We're talking to the developers and asking for this, asking for that. We're asking for nice loot like this masterwork drilled 2-handed axe. We're releasing stuff too early and getting in trouble with Tail Worlds. Probably won't do that again, but we're moving on up here in the world of YouTube creators, and I owe it all to you fellas. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you for the Patreon supporters. Thank you, Savfk the Terrible, right? Isaac, who's this? Right, you're not escaping. This is that gal here, right? And I just had an idea. She looks like she's all brains, or all brawn and no brains. Let's capture her. And you know what they did in the medieval era, right? To heal the wounds of war, you would intermarry. And we've got some people in our clan. Isn't it Henry? Henry's wife was killed. Henry's wife was assassinated. Yeah, Billock, his ex-spouse. And you get a little glance at the family here, of course, with Baron York and Rylan and Rose the deceased. And Gisselchild, of course, we've talked about her. She is married to the enemy. She's married to Suvan. So maybe that's a potential for the storyline to continue to twist. You know, we're going to continue to twist the storyline here. Maybe stupid Henry, needs an equally stupid wife that are both savages in the same army. Because maybe we will have to ally here with the Norse, right? The Norse, we've been fighting them for a long time. I would say to a stalemate. We've had some big wins. We've had some big losses. Probably try to siege Ortygia next. We got to do some work here in Legetta. But maybe that's a way for us to push the Khazate back. Now we have a tenuous peace with the Khazate, right? But how long is it going to last, right? Now up to the northeast or northwest, those guys took care of business. Now I would wish those armies would merge. That's not a thing, but I might disband them and make them merge. Right? Sometimes it's better if you have all of the forces in one army, and it gives us a good opportunity actually to talk about managing player clans, managing the army size, managing what they do and when they do it. These armies here, but also, you know, to consider breaking up. See, 791 troops heading to Charis. You guys know how it works, right? An army of 800 sieging a city. It's almost impossible for them to do that without being ambushed from outside. So just basic strategy, right? And this is on some level making up for the inefficient system, right? We can't order them to go somewhere else. We can't, I mean, even though we're on defensive here against the Aserai, he's still going to siege. I've got these two armies here. He's going to get captured, right? So it's a lot better. It makes a lot more sense in your campaign. Support him, give him some influence, and then tell these armies to disband. You suffer very minimal consequences from it. Your relation goes down like 4 or whatever. They do have to use that influence to reform their army, but it beats the shit out of them being destroyed. And of course, if they start to win battles, they're accumulating a huge amount of influence. Now, we do want to continue to cover policies in this campaign. We've covered a lot, but we're just going to cover a couple, maybe a couple 3 here. We're going to do little ones like this, right? Gives them more influence, all tier 3 and above. You know, there's a very minor, if inviting lower clans to the army increases by 10%, that's minor compared to the fact that every day we get more influence. Here's another one. I'm almost never going to revoke a fief from a clan. This gives us free influence for each fief that we own. And I think that includes castles, right? So they're getting an additional 3, 4, 5, maybe 1 influence every day. Here's another freebie, right? Castle upgrade costs are reduced by 20%. There's no negative, no downside other than the 100 influence. Everybody likes that policy. There may be a point where we cover more policies, but I don't want to spend 10 minutes in the middle of an episode. Policies are one of the most underrated portions of Bannerlord, and I don't mean from a dynamism. They're fairly modest in the interest of how unique they are. What they're interesting is how it can be used to help you in your campaign. Now we've got to sort of walk a little bit gingerly down here, right? We don't want to just barrel into a huge fight here, but I would also like to take Ortygia, and I note that Khazate has no enemies, none. That's a problem, right? Khazate very imminently could declare war on us. Now we're going to try to run down this scuzz here, this Aserai force coming up to siege Legetta. You ain't making it there, dude. You're going to miscarriage before you make it to your target. We're going to run this guy down, especially since we're going to besiege Ortygia, maybe even move into Quayaz, right? Hal is becoming a menace. He's becoming an Aserai killer. Wazuban is still in prison. I haven't talked about that a huge amount. We have, again, Wazuban captured, sitting in prison, the arch nemesis of House York. Starting to get a little dicey here. 15, 16. Maybe they have 1,800 troops here. I'm still going to engage. These are the kind of battles that, I mean, I guess we can lose this gal. We're taking her helmet too if we win. We also might get reinforcements too. And I'm just, you know, in this campaign, we're going to take on some challenges here. Do last few upgrades. We're mostly healthy. We got a few companions that are injured from the previous battle. But if I could destroy this asteroid force and whatever reinforcements join, again, the reinforcement system is active, so we'll have to see if they pop into this battle. Then we can siege Ortesia with very few outside agencies having anything to do with it. Now, we have a terrible position here. We're downhill. We're kind of caught between the two shoulders of these mountains here, but we can use this to our strategic advantage. Who are we facing? We're facing the Aserai. That means they're going to try to circle us with Vanguard Ferris, horse archers. They can get all the way to the far edge of the other side of the hills there, but let's encourage them not to. Let's press them against these mountains here on our left. Let's set up defensive divisions out in front. We can probably do cavalry. We could probably do the 1st division. Let's see how it looks here. I don't have... okay, we do have a great amount of sharpshooters. What kills horse archers? I've got 114 crossbow sharpshooters that say we can kill horse archers. And then we can use the hillside over there with the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Again, I continue to bifurcate the army. I think this works very well, especially if you have a defensive front. Our defensive front here is going to be... let's change some captains here. This guy, increased charge damage. He's better off being in an offensive division, right? If he's got increased charge damage banner and he's playing defense, it's gone to waste. You would rather have a decreased taken melee, or against the Aserai like this guy, decreased taken ranged attack damage. They're going to get shot at. They're going to have javelins dumped into that circle and square. Let's run a 4th division behind him. So that 1st and 2nd, they take the heavy blows. That's the shield. The 4th division behind him, we can give them a skirmisher division right behind crossbow. Anybody attacks those sharpshooters gets pelted with javelins. Over on this side, if we can get on top of that hill with the 5th and 7th, we can rain archers arrows into the whole valley. Protect them with this 3rd division, complete with probably 80% shock troops, it looks like. Volgiers and other nasty shock troops. They can be mixed in with the 8th division. And Hal can command the 8th division. His sister's got the 7th. And it's not all Consguards, but there's a lot of Consguards in there still, right? Hal still has a good amount of these Khazate, and I love that part of this campaign. That is why this is a mixed campaign. I've been calling it a Vlandian Khazate campaign for a while. For fellas who really wanted us to see us play a Khazate campaign, you might have to wait for the DLC. That might be really, really interesting to take on the Nords with horse archers. Of course, it also might be really easy. Because that theoretically should be the nemesis of the Nords. As long as you stay off the water. Alright. Oh shit, coming in hot. Oh shit, that would have probably been fatal. That was some lord gunning for the king. And of course, the lords in this campaign have elite stats. So of course, normally she would have died right there. She ran right in the midst of all of our elite troops, and you didn't see that person get killed. That is how powerful these enemy lords are. I'll remind you, 500% hit points. So you add in some elevated stats. I think 800 to 1,000 will be the high-end hit points for the enemies here. This is Diablo Hell mode, right? Where it takes forever to kill anything. Now this is setting up well. 122 horse archers volunteering to die. Even though they're going to do major damage, they're charging with Vanguard Ferris. Here come the javelin bolts. They are attacking that circle square. That leaves our crossbow here to pelt the shit out of them. You can hear the bolts flying. The screen should light with green there. And even better, the enemy's taking a defensive spot up on the ridge. Right, so we're going to move away from the ridge. If they want to sit up on the ridge and let us kill all their cavalry and horse archers, they can have that ridge all day. At least until we tell them it's ours. Rand's King Hal have come. It's hard for me to focus on it. Somebody's coming to kill me. They condemn me or some shit like that. I guess. They're talking shit. That's the reinforcement system engaging, right? So some of these other Aserai forces that we saw outside the battle are joining, and we'll see how that impacts this. I'll talk in a minute about a discussion I had with one of the developers from Tale Worlds about the reinforcement system, about outside city sieges. That is something that a lot of people have been hoping for, and I will tell you what this fella said to me. But let's chop down some horse archers here as they reel from our archer, crossbow, and javelin attack. You can see the skirmishers dumping in bolts, and they're coming for another taste. We like it, right? They didn't get enough kills. They didn't get mauled enough on that first attack. I better stay behind them. I got the Lord behind me yelling commands. I do love that part about the immersive battlefield. That is from a mod. The commanders of the enemies will yell what their divisions are doing, just like your commanders do. That'd be great if it was like in Arabic or something like that, right? If it was in a different language and you couldn't quite tell what they were saying, that would be great. But it's still a really great mod. And skirmishers are probably low in javelins. Zeus and Marco and all you skirmishers in there, right? Keep your heads down, fellas. We don't need any deaths. I just put you in the game, Marco. Survive a little longer, brother. Of course, Marco was one of our first characters, one of our first unique characters for this campaign, and he died twice, right? Marco likes to die. You killed Kenny. He's like the South Park equivalent of this campaign, just keeps getting killed. We love you, Marco, man. Thanks for taking one for the team. Now, time to set up a destruction of this force on this ridge here, right? It looks like they're coming. Now, this is perfect. This is going to emulate or show you exactly why I keep running this bifurcated approach. They're coming down the chute. The enemy likes to attack one target. Well, when you have two major flanks, it really fucks with the AI. They don't know what to do. A lot of players wouldn't know what to do, right? They would attack one or the other. Most players are not comfortable splitting their divisions or running 8 at the same time. So we're simply going to open up the center of our hands here, like spreading your hands while some little bird flies in between it, and then you clap your hands, and whatever's inside it gets crushed. Now, they are attacking pretty well here with the Savfk division, fuckers. But the screen is flush and green, and their forces ran directly between all of our forces. 1st, 2nd, 6th, and 3rd can all start to move in for the kill here. Our crossbows pelting them. Our skirmishers can have a nice angle here. There's still bloody fighting over there on the left flank, but I can't worry about it, right? This main threat is the 450, 500 troops coming down the center. And again, if you're watching a battle here for the first time on the channel, the reason there's so many troops is the battle size mod, right? We have 2,000 units potentially on the field at the same time. So these battles are truly some of the biggest you'll see in the game. Just massive battles. And look at the position we have here. In fact, King Hell fights on foot, right? You know Henry's in here somewhere, wailing away with his hammer. I'd like to fight by Henry more often. He is a beast, and of course these guys have been brothers for a long time, right? 20-something years, right? As if it matters, a bunch of pixels. Now we have this vanguard completely caught between our 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 6th divisions, just wailing away all these 3rd division guys. Seems that they're here to help. Let's get horse archers behind us. Seems they're here to help, so we're getting allies. Somebody's joining us. I can't see who. I'm a little busy. And it's chaos, but it's deliberate chaos, right? We have the enemy pinched here. Our troops are cinching the vice. And they're getting reinforcement archers. Let's get some cavalry up here in a hurry. Let's get the 3rd, 7th. Even the horse archers can get in here. Just anything to stop them from shooting. And let's push up infantry in a hurry. The 1st division's already on them. In a shield wall. Look at that. Boring in on their left. Or our left. Beautiful. Here comes all our cavalrymen, and these archers just got nullified. Now, we don't have the cavalry from the 1.3 beta, right? I just tested that out last week. We produced a couple episodes on how devastating cavalry is, but this is still another great use for them. Bunch of archers, just park your fucking 200 cavalry right in their face, and then once their archers are swinging their little hapless sword, get in here and kill them with your fucking man-crushing infantry. Whip out the old shield here. Somehow, as soon as I whipped it out, I got shot. I don't know how that worked for 50 fucking damage. That's bullshit. This guy's got great armor, too. He's still getting fucking pounded. Bannerlord is a hard game. I mean, I'm really experienced. We've got the best armor possible, and we're still taking huge damage. I got shot twice, and he's down to a 3rd health. Now, this is a great sign. There's a whole line here of little fucking bedraggled Tier 2 and Tier 3 infantry. There's a horse having a seizure in front of us, a death seizure. And this battle is over. There's a whole bunch of scrubs here. Now, I say that, but I better back out. I better back off of that statement. I don't know how many reinforcements just joined. There's at least one. Maybe there was more. And I don't know if that army had 300 or what. So let's take some defensive positioning here. I'm getting chased by these little bootlickers. Get the fuck off me. Kill them, Consvogs. Sometimes these little lowest level troops are the hardest one to kill. They have a really fast hammer, so you can't get the first hit on them. Shit, our archers are lagging. Get up here. Yeah, but the reinforcement system, man, it just is an absolute breath of fresh air. And for experienced players, I think it's a top 5 mod. For new players, it's hell. You absolutely don't want to use it if you're new, right? You're new, you will absolutely get overwhelmed by it. You will be, oh, we've got this battle in hand, because you're used to certain battles going a certain way. With the reinforcement system, you get all kinds of things that unexpectedly happen. It's basically for people who have already gotten very comfortable with Bannerlord. As I get chased around here, how come I have no fucking cavalry support up here? Are they all dead? Maybe so. Let's get the horse archers up here at least. We've got a great ridge to shoot down. I don't really see a huge amount of enemy troops coming down. Of course, you guys don't have the power bar for battles like this, especially where the reinforcement system is engaged. You guys just don't get it. I don't want you to know. I'm getting beat up by little blacksmiths here. Look at that shit. He swings faster than me with like 290 one-handed skill. Because he's got a little hammer. With his big beard. You gotta love Bannerlord. Look at this little fucking peasant. He's in here doing everything he can. Die, you bastard! Okay, this is reinforcements. 160. That's not too big a deal, but how many more are there? And this is where it gets a little dicey. Don't forget, we don't have a huge army here. We have about half of our army elsewhere in the campaign doing their thing. We got some cons guards. They got a great flank. They're all falling down the hill. Get over there, boys. That was a huge death span. They just trampled everything into next week. That looked like a lord. In fact, that kind of looked like that gal that attacked us here at the beginning of this battle. And keep an eye on her. We don't need to get killed. I just looked down. I have no health. So, we're in the nitty gritty here. Let's hope there's all of a sudden not 1,000 more forces, because we could be in for a real fight here. And of course, death for all cranked. Yikes. I'm getting chased. Where the fuck is our 6th division? I called them a while ago. I guess they're just down to a handful of troops. The enemy still has good looking troops here. Here they come. Alright, let's take this ridge. The 2nd division should have a lot of archers. So should the 5th. The 5th has like a handful of Fiend champs and master archers, and so they'll have a lot of ammo. At least we've got a little entourage here. Uh-oh. More enemies are coming. Adol's party, join the battle as an enemy. And if you've never seen this before, down in the lower right or lower left, you can actually see Dallas party, join the battle as an enemy. That is armies that were right next to us at the start of this battle joining. This is absolutely one of the best mods in Bannerlord. And it's fairly stable and functional. I mean, we have had very few issues with it. Oh shit, we don't have any cavalry. We have horse archers. Alright, getting a little less comfortable here, and try to get myself a horse, pull this 3rd division to me. There's 2 cavalrymen in the 3rd division. They should get over here while our troops form their lines. I've got a line of horse archers, archers and archers setting up their archers and archers, also known as archers and crossbows setting up a line here. Is this one of them? This is like calling an Uber and you're surprised what the car looks like. It is, it's camelry. Alright, let's take ourselves a camel, right? You got to get in. If you get a badass Uber and it's like a double-decker bus with a big hippie logo on it, I guess you still get in, right? We got ourselves a camel. This reminds me of that epic battle long ago in the Asteroid campaign. Definitely the most amazing battle I've ever been a part of. We rode a camel for several minutes. Well, let's see if we can replicate it here. 7, 9. There are a lot of forces here. The enemy has a lot of forces and more are joining. Man, you can get this cascade effect, and that is a lot. That is a big chunk, thick chunk of enemy forces here. We're in for it. Let's start setting up these lines here. We're going to have to charge with that infantry division. Now, I did pull another infantry division from the bottom. Let's join them at the 6th. 1st, 6th, 3rd, 5th. Okay, that's good. The horse archers are following here. These guys can be ready for a major charge. We got to get our forces up here. We're a little strung out. I'm going to just sort of monitor things here and pick off some people with my camel. Oh shit, I'm up so high. I have to like swing down. Now this is something I'm not used to, of course, but it's a really cool feature. This is from a mod called Improved Camels. The camels are faster, do way more charge damage, and they're really high up so that you're hard to hit. You can still be shot for sure. In fact, you're more vulnerable to arrows, but you're very hard to hit with melee. You're like almost like on an elephant. And this is awesome. Our forces roar across the battlefield here. A lot of our archers and crossbow are out of ammo. We do have the 2nd division though. That looks good. That looks good. Let's kill some fucks. And they still have high-end troops, of course, because these are reinforcements. Man. And it's super awkward. You know, I probably should practice before I just jump on a camel in a critical battle. Swinging right over the head of people. And, fuck, I didn't have my shield out. Player agent is dead. Man. Who do we got here? This looks like Garrison, right? Garrison Keeler. All right, brother. We're playing your character. And I imagine you guys get a little kick out of this, right? The character that we built for you. In some cases that you made, right? Some of these characters are copy-pasted over to our campaign. It's probably fun to see you in this gnarly campaign, right? Now, we need a horse. Garrison Keeler is a horse character. Garrison, one of our Patreon supporters. Maybe you guys are sick of me saying that shit. We got this shit. We're starting to really push in here. We got a lot of troops. We need a horse here for Garrison. He is a horse archer with a really long polearm. I want to say his polearm is like 2 200 length. And I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Got ourselves a horse now. Garrison Keeler can do some keeling. And is the enemy dead? It looks like they're dead. I don't see. Okay, here we go. They got some archers on this ridge. I don't think so, but have a fucking 12-foot polearm swing through the face. Now, these polearms are super awkward, but once you get the timing down, they're unbelievably lethal. You don't even have to be close to people, and you still cut them in half. They scream as they get chopped in half by a huge long blade. Long polearms are absolutely lethal once you get the timing down. I mean, it's just, this guy's just die. Yeah, well, that's what's going to happen to you, dude. You're going to die. Now, it's awkward. You can see how awkward it is, right? Your timing has to be good, otherwise you whiff. But you could stay safe here too, right? You can really avoid close combat. Making myself dizzy. And this battle is over. Another Aseroth force smashed into the dirt. And King Hal's becoming a menace. Now is that's the original Lord right there. We want this gal. Is she fleeing? She's got the helmet. Can you guys see it? Hopefully you guys can see it. Like you guys can answer. You're like, I can't answer. Anybody wondering if we're going to stream these episodes live? Probably not. The DLC, we will definitely stream live. Let's have everybody hold fire here. Garrison Keeler is going to duel with this gal here at the end of this battle. I can take a little breath. Victory, right? This is beautiful. Now, there's a tiny chance that this delay will allow more forces to join. It's time-based, but I don't think so, right? This is probably all the Aseroth forces here. Of course, she runs. I think it's a she. Sounds like a he. Maybe it's a he. No, this is her. Come get some, right? And a polearm is absolutely unbeatable against someone like this. You can just stay at range, and she just got embarrassed, right? Smash her body into the dirt. How dare you attack King Hal? That's the Baron's mistress right there, one of his mistresses. It's been a lot of fun cultivating the Baron here. Evidently, there's one dude left. Chase him down, boys. We don't need to waste your time with another weak duel. We're hoping to have some real duels in this campaign. Now, they're going to be contrived, right? I'm going to have to, in most cases, tell the enemy and tell our armed forces to stop, right, so that we can fight it out. We fought Wazuban a little bit in the last episode, but of course, a lot of times the AI is squirrely, ran off, and another highly successful ass whipping here. 700, not a single death. Heaps of upgrades. Garrison Keeler ripped it. I guess we were controlling him, of course. That helps. Hal's wife ripped it. Yesha. And good stuff here. 2100, 2200. So I think we were fighting 1300. What that tells you is basically every Aserai nearby joined this battle, and that's great, right? Now we didn't almost lose. 500 troops left, but if another 1,000 came in, we might have. Right? We're obviously low on ammo. Our army's running out of fumes. It definitely could have been a battle that tilted in the wrong direction, simply because we were getting exhausted. Do some upgrades, and I always struggle, with this choice. Forest Bandit, Falksman. The Forest Bandit is such a good archer. They're cheap, they're lethal, they fire really accurate, really high-powered arrows, and you need good archers in Bannerlord. Right now, King Hal is going to continue to be building infantry. Right, we're going to have a 60%, 70% infantry army here. That's just going to be the nature of his character. He wants to fight with the infantry, right? So you don't want to have 20 troops. Frankly, I outran my infantry that battle. Got a little bit out ahead because I wanted to take that commander's ridge. Now, I think we'll siege this. A lot of times these are nothing sieges, but we don't have a very big army, right? We're pretty bruised and battered here, and I don't want to call these other forces to us, right? I want them to form armies. Frankly, I'm hoping they go siege Charis and do some other good work for us out west. If we can take Ortesia, we're basically cutting the Aserai out of this part of the map, right? We can have them over there sieging while we play sort of, the guard dog to this peninsula. This little peninsula in between the north and the south is highly defendable. It did not take long before the Aserai making more forces. That's the thing, right? With the Strength and AI mod, the enemy has virtually unlimited, seems never ending. And King Canute of the Sturgeons, I don't know if you guys saw that, we'll bring it up here. The Sturgeons and the Khazate are back at war, and frankly, I think the Sturgeons / Norse are in trouble. The Khazate in this campaign, kind of like Europe, for hundreds of years, every once in a while there'd be a major power that emerged that was all of a sudden much stronger than the other kingdoms. And the Khazate right now, again, we don't show you the power bar of a campaign. I don't want to spoil that for you, but I would imagine that the Khazate have the most cities and castles in the game. Now we're probably approaching the second spot, right? Again, you're not ever going to see me go compare them all because I don't want you guys to know, hey, the campaign's over, we've got it cinched. You guys know the territory we have, right? We have probably 80% of Vlandian territory, half of the Britannian territory, and we're starting to make our way south. But you don't know what the Khazate have, right? It's kind of a mystery, and I want it to be that way. Honestly, I don't actually look very often. Of course, I know and I can look anytime I want. This guy's a prisoner? I don't remember taking this guy as a prisoner. Was that... Maybe that was last episode. Now, it's been a little while since I played this campaign, right? So, this guy, again, this guy was made for the same fella. Same guy who has... He actually has an enemy and an ally in our campaign. I'm willing to do that for you fellas. There's dozens or hundreds even of companions and lords in a good campaign, and I'm perfectly happy to make you guys into this campaign. Hell, you could even lead a minor clan if that's the kind of thing that interests you. I think it adds another layer to the campaign. You guys effectively get to ride along in the campaign, especially when it's your direct character. Guys like George the Bandit King. Another guy's actually part of the Aserai. He's one of the enemy lords, right? Alexander the Great is in this campaign as well. So I'm going to keep it real, going to keep it interesting for you fellas. And this siege is likely to be a nothing siege. So let's talk about the reinforcement system. Let's talk about some of the things that I learned talking to one of the Tale Worlds developers. It's one of the people that's regularly in the, what's the best way to call it? It is a community development Discord. It's fairly exclusive. There's maybe 30 to 50 total YouTube producers that are part of the Discord, and it's a good way for Tale Worlds to get a lot of information from the people who are getting it from you guys, for example. So we're sort of liaisons from you guys to Tale Worlds. Instead of listening to 10,000 voices, they can listen to 50 of us who each have 200 subscribers. So you get the idea, right? It's a good way for us to share information with them in a manner where it doesn't overwhelm them. Well, I brought up some suggestions for this, fellas. Some of the things that you guys talk about on the channel all the time, right? Things about like adding the RTS mod or an equivalent to the game. I brought up the reinforcement system and asked, if they were considering anything like that. And ultimately, what they said, and I shared with this fellow the reinforcement system, how it worked, is they said stuff like that is not quite in their plans yet. That might be something that they engage in down the road. This guy also made it clear that he was not part of the group that makes the final decisions. He's more of a liaison from Tale Worlds as we prepare this siege here. I don't think I need to tell you at this stage what we're doing. And I've got this RTS command system. I'm not sure I'm going to keep it. You guys can leave your feedback. It puts little strange visuals in the game and I'm not thrilled about, especially because we're trying to have these battles be somewhat cinematic. Now we've got 8 divisions here. We're just going to systematically move up. It doesn't matter too much. The reason I'm fighting this and playing this out, by the way, is that there are Aserai forces nearby. If I auto-resolve, we'll suffer huge casualties. And if I don't somewhat methodically go about this and we get ass-jammed, we could definitely lose this siege. People who have watched the whole campaign diligently know that we have suffered a couple of catastrophic losses at this city. Of course, that's a spoiler. Spoiler if you haven't watched the campaign, but you really should jump in episode 68, 69, whatever this is going to be. Infantry! And what the fuck? Somehow my divisions got all skewed. I don't know how that happened. I have 400 troops in the 8th Corps. We have a huge amount of troops here because, of course, we have the battle size mod coming. But if the enemy ass jams us here, I want to have something to say about it, right? So we're going to develop a defensive line at some point. First, let's get some forces on the wall here. Let's do some pressuring here, and I can get back to what this fella talked about. He was quite receptive to many of the changes, bug fixes. It's been really impressive. I must say that Tale Worlds continues to be very receptive and I would say humble, right? They recognize that there's a huge amount of players out there with opinions, and ultimately we're the reason they make the game, right? Is the players, right? If the players
were unanimous about a certain feature. And I have no question that if they could do it, they would add it, right? The ultimate reality is that they're making the game for us. And I think it's a great venue and a great way for us to basically make suggestions, right? Whether it's for future DLCs with like the Darshi or changes to the current system, combat system, diplomacy system, etc. Speaking about the reinforcement system, this guy said that at this stage, that's not something they're likely to add. They said it would be very messy. The AI is coded to take defensive positions in a battle like this, and he worried that there'd be a lot of bugs and a lot of sort of glaring problems with something like the reinforcement system. Now, I did try to convince him that 95% of the time it works beautifully. We'll see if it fires off here or not. It may not even be a factor. It gives me a little opportunity to talk about it. But there are some times, right, where the cavalry from the enemy, as they come in to try to attack you, all of a sudden gets sort of stuck. I would say, though, like, if I was getting it a letter grade, it gets an A- all day. Like, it's a great mod, and it dramatically enhances the battle. It's the kind of thing that could be an option, and he said, I think it's better for it to just be a mod and not to add it to the game. That way guys can enjoy it with a mod, but that way it doesn't snarl up the base game with it being sort of automatically part of the game. And that makes some sense, except I do feel for you console fellas. If I could, I'd send you guys all $1,000 so you could just load up a gaming PC and join us on the reinforcement system side, all the amazing mods that come with it. But anyways, it was interesting and illuminating to talk to some of the Tailworlds fellas, and of course, I'm on thin ice, right? They haven't said anything like that necessarily with me, but of course with our accidental early release of some of the 1.3 stuff, almost 24 hours early, I'm aware that it's a privilege that can vanish in an instant. So we'll try to be delicate, we'll say nice things, but at the same time, it doesn't do us any good or them any good if we're just all roses about everything. Everything's fucking great if we don't report bugs, if we don't report serious problems, balance issues, etc. So still thinking there could be reinforcements. Of course, you guys probably can't see the power, the power at the top of the screen. That is by design, but it doesn't look like. Usually, as soon as I say that, here, let me try it again. It doesn't look like anything's going to happen. Usually, we get attacked. Maybe not this time. There's 1,000 javelins here. We're ready for an attack. I've got a defensive line here and an archer division just basically waiting for insolent cavalry to come riding in on us. And it's funny. It's almost like a button. Are you listening, Tailworlds? Are you listening? It's like my game listens, like our phone. Here they come, right? And this is great. Now I don't know. Actually, should have looked down. I don't know if it was an army or one unit or what, but we'll see. And here they come. They just pour through the woods and attack. And if you've never seen this before, it's great, right? This is a siege where the enemy is counterattacking, and I think this is a top 5 mod for players that can handle this kind of chaos. For a lot of players, this is over fucking whelming, right? You're sieging, we got forces fighting on the walls. Meanwhile, we're being backdoored and surrounded here by Jav, Cav, and horse archers. It's gnarly, right? And if you don't plan for this, if you don't have the experience for it, you get fucking mangled. God, I wonder how many this is. It's certainly a lot of javelins flying through the air. They have a huge amount of cavalry. That's one of the best parts, is they don't come in on foot. Just like a real life situation, they would roll in, just like the siege of Vienna, right, where Jan Sobieski, they came rolling in with one of the largest cavalry charges in human history and just smashed the shit out of all the Ottomans or Turks at the second siege of Vienna, or maybe it was the 12th siege or something like that. These lazy bitches didn't open the door. Get in here. Let's get archers in here to open the door. This happens usually when you over micromanage. You pull the unit off the ram, and then the guys are like, oh, okay, you don't want us to do the ram. You want us to do something else. It's usually my fault. They fixed this, though. These guys are vigorously attacking that wall. I always think it's hilarious. They call the wall a bastard. And there's nothing in here, so we got this shit, right? We're going to be able to at least get forces inside the courtyard. Now, huge amounts of reinforcements could pour in, right? We have had this. If you want a reason to watch this amazing Vlandian campaign, we've had no less than 4 or 5 absolutely epic battles where we were sieging and got backdoored by huge forces. And I can't tell you the results because it was variable. We won some, we lost some. They were all amazing, though. How's that? If you need a reason to watch, our Epic Vlandian campaign. It's pushing 70 episodes now. You will see some of the most unique content of Bannerlord on YouTube. As far as I'm aware, there's very few other players that are showing these kind of gnarly sieges with thousands of units and massive reinforcement mobs pouring in the back door with all these unique elements. Here, a rather run-of-the-mill counterattack. It looks like maybe 300 or 400 forces of the Asurite mounted a heroic but futile attack. And I think this is a good spot to end this episode, right? This is a great crossroads in this campaign. King Hal, the resurrected House of York, has marched all the way to the southern borders of the Asurite, or of the Vlandian territory, right? Is the Asurite kingdom going to be invaded by King Hal? What is going to happen with the Khazate and the Sturgeons? Are the Khazate eventually going to declare war on King Hal? Does King Hal need to join with these other kingdoms to fight this monster Genghis Khan and this huge invasion by these horse archers to the east? Right? I'll show you a little bit more of the map here. This campaign's not over yet. My hope is to bring it right up to the release of the DLC. So just like a druggie, you guys have a nice consistent drip of interesting epic Bannerlord to watch, and hopefully we can keep it lively, right? I've got some twists and turns still planned. You know me, I'm anything but ordinary on the channel here, right? We've got some devious shit still planned. I promise you, you will still have at least 1 or 2 showstoppers left in this campaign. And with all that said, we're going to wrap this episode up, friends. So of course, if you want to see more, now's your time to subscribe. Please hit that like button on the way out. I appreciate you, friends, and I will see you fellas next time.